welcome to my channel. If you are an illustrator, graphic designer, web or app designer, and you are interested in a fun, cool new way to choose color combinations based on actual color theory, or just want to be inspired by color combinations you normally wouldn't navigate to, then keep on watching. When choosing color combinations, I personally tend to go for the same range of colors over and over again, just because they are my favorites, but this feels rather limiting. So I created a tool to pull me out of this behavior and unstuck myself from this color rut. And I figured if this is handy for me, it might be useful for my fellow creators as well. So I decided to make my color palette generator a freebie. However, I need to explain some bits and pieces so you can get the most out of this tool. You need FilterForge version 10 or higher to run the color palette generator, but for those people who do not own FilterForge, I have also made 100 pre-generated palettes as PNG files. And also for those who want to download the palette images, applies to get an actual understanding of the output palettes. It's handy to stick to the end of this video. First off, the filter is called the 60-30-10 color palette generator, which is based on the 60-30-10 color rule to get a good ratio of colors in illustrations and designs, so that the colors are well balanced out and one doesn't use too many different colors, because we want to avoid a chaotic appearance and make people's eyes bleed. How this works is one uses 60% of the real estate of your design for the primary color, with possible variations in tint and shade. 30% of your design is reserved for the secondary color, and the 10% which is left can be used for the accent color. And the accent color stands out from the rest, it's an eye catcher. A bit of a disclaimer, the 60-30-10 rule isn't set in stone. It's a guideline, but it's a good thing to know about, so you can break it purposefully with caution. And not everything needs to attract equal attention. To use a bit of a crooked metaphor, if the 60-30-10 guide is music, the 60% is the rhythm, the 30% the melody, and the 10% the awesome guitar solo. So it's all about proportion and balance. I'm going to jump in FilterForge to show you how this is going to work. Just drag and drop the filter on the open software and it shows up. You can either have some control how the palette is generated by manually picking the colors, like so. You can base the output on actual color theory by using the slider like this. I go into more detail about the color theory calculations later on. You can let the filter decide everything by unlocking all options and then pressing the next variant button. Or keeping specific parts of the output by locking it. I'll show you. So you can have a lot of control or no control at all, and everything in between. Firstly, I focus on the primary color to show you the functionality. I isolate the primary column for that. You can pick any primary color you want. I pick an old rosy color. Or you can let the generator decide it for you by locking everything but the primary and pressing the next variant button. Here you have three options: high, medium and low randomization. Let me set it back to Old Rosie. In the first column you see the primary color at the top, and underneath it its sibling colors, which several can be used to build up the 60% of your illustration. The siblings' brighter swatches are tints, so the primary mixed with white, and a bit saturation enhancement. The darker colors are shades, where the primary is mixed with black and also a tiny bit of saturation adjustments. The darkest shade can be used as an alternative for black and the brightest tint for white if you aim for a more cohesive color style. Let me isolate the primary and secondary and set the slider to manual. The second column at the top shows the 30% secondary color and its matching siblings. The secondary color can be either chosen manually or randomized when unlocked. If you want to choose the secondary color manually, set the slider to 1. But it can also be calculated through color theory based on your primary color. If you want the secondary color to be the complementary color scheme of the primary, set the slider to 2. And then the filter will take the opposite color from the color wheel from your primary color. So this green is the opposite from the old pink. If you set the slider to 3, the secondary color is the triadic color harmony based on the primary. And the triadic option gives 2 additional colors and its siblings. They form a triangle with equal sides on the color wheel together with the primary color. So this gives you more color options. You can use both together with the primary or just pick one. This is often a very useful color harmony. Number 4 on the slider results in the analogous harmony. Again, 2 outputs who are neighbors from the primary color on the color wheel. And this is by far my personal favorite harmony. You can also make a gradient from your primary and secondary colors for even more flexibility. So to recap, the secondary color can be manual, randomized or based on the primary as a complementary, triadic or analogous color harmony. Moving on to the accent color with isolation checked and bright pink. This can be chosen manually or randomized. I need to explain the output though. The top on the last column is the chosen accent color, whether chosen manually or randomized. The colors underneath are calculated. The second and third swatch on the outside are a triadic scheme based on the accent color. So these three colors are a triadic harmony. The fourth and fifth swatch are the analogous scheme based on the accent color. And the bottom right swatch is the complementary color from the accent color. That one gets many choices, however, that doesn't mean one needs to use them all. I suggest 1 or 2 accent colors, and combined they can be 10% of the total real estate of your design. One can also combine one bright, striking accent color and a black, as long as they together are about 10%. For example, as buttons on a website or app, or pillows in an interior, or a handbag with an outfit, just to make a focus point pop. If I reveal all, you can see there is also a static part with black and white and grays. And that can be used as primary, secondary or accent as well, of course. And those neutrals are also handy to paint in shadows and highlights on multiply, overlay or other layer modes. Then you have some additional isolation checkboxes. And a desaturated contrast checker toggle. And this is used to determine if your color palette has enough contrast for your taste, or if you want them all equal in level. And this is best viewed in black and white. Some final thoughts and tips. When you get an output palette, not every swatch needs to be used. Pick several, but don't overdo it. The output is not 100% color blindness proof, of course, and I expect you do have some kind of color intuition. If a generated output makes you cringe, flinch, wince, cower in horror, or you notice some other physical or mental discomfort, press the next variant button, because we don't want to burn people's retinas. We really don't. I must admit though, pressing the next variant button for randomization can be quite addictive. Before you know it, an hour has passed and you made 100 color palettes. So there's that. I put a link in the description to my Patreon page where you can download the filter for free. And for the people who do not have FilterForge 10 or higher, I pre-generated 100 color palettes as PNG files as a free download as well. You don't need to be my patron to download it, it's free for everyone. Although if you want to show your appreciation or inspire me, you can become my patron for a short time, or a long time, or indefinitely. I have also a video tutorial coming up on how to turn these color palettes into actual Photoshop swatches. If you do not want to miss that, well, you know what to do. I hope my way to make color combinations is helpful to you and that it can avoid any cringe-worthy creations. I thank you for watching and make it a great, colorful day.